Hello, 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 everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good morning. Another beautiful Saturday. The Lord is wonderful, right? AJM, first one in the box. Please, guys, text me in here to let me know how everything sounds. We're gonna have Faith on today. I think that'll be a good show. I don't know what I think about this background music. Kind of hard to talk in rhythm. I mean, not really, but it's odd, to say the least. And so I think it's pretty good to, as people are coming in, having the background music go, people are able to chill and chat, Hello, Evangelist Michael, my friend. I feel blessed to see you, man. That's how I'm doing today. Because no matter what we've done, no matter who we are, no matter what we turned out to be, we are covered in the righteousness and blood of Jesus Christ. And you and me are going to look like the Son of God when we're getting judged, right? And isn't that amazing? What's going on, Faith? Faith and fear. Yeah, the music. Got the music on for everyone to chill and chat. But one thing I wanted to say before I had you come up is that I was happy to see BB go live yesterday. And I think that was pretty cool, man. It was nice to see her again. And so if you guys could subscribe to her channel, that'd be cool. She's a friend of the show. And hey Luke, how you doing, my man? Go ahead and click that Faith and come on. It's just great to say hi to everybody. I haven't seen Dee Dee in a while, but I did text her, so I think she's doing good. It's just some kind of backup music, Clutch. All right, there we go. What's going on, Sheila? Yeah, you like the music? I think the song is actually called Into Space, which is kind of ironic. I don't know if it's good or bad, the music, if it adds any kind of production value, but I'm only using it for the intro, Let me turn it off. I only use it for the beginning, Maybe it adds some production value, I don't know. And yeah, she did go live. You can click the link if you want. It's up to you, though. It would be cool. Even though you said you were sounding rough this morning. like a biker dude. I'm just kidding. I have a good story about that, though. I remember, I'll tell the story while you're clicking the link. I was a little kid and I don't know, 12 or 13. And my voice was, just changed, right? And my parents got me a phone, right? My own phone line, which was a big thing back then, right? To have your own, phone with a cord, but it's in your room and it only rings in your room. And and one time, I don't know if somebody had the number before or not, but they called me at 3 a.m, right? And they called me at 3 a.m, and I answered and I was like, hello, hello, how are you doing? And the guy was like, babe, is that you, babe? And I'm like, what are you? I'm like, that's the roughest that I could ever sound, right? Like the deepest my voice ever got. And he was like, babe, is that you, babe? Uh, I don't know, man. I don't know what's wrong with people, man. Who knows? Maybe there's just something wrong with me, you know? I did consider that for most of my life, that the problem was me. I'm like, oh yeah, man, I'm weird. I need to go to the psych ward so they could lock me up. Little did I know that the world was messed up, you know? You don't ever think of that, right? Like, oh yeah, the whole world is messed up and I'm the only one that's healthy. You never think of that as an option. You always think, oh well, it must be me, you know? Oh, like shit, throwing up deuces, man. All right, I'm gonna, I'm gonna add Faith to the show. Hold on a second, guys. Hello, Faith. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Hi, how are you?
Look at you, man, and your profile picture.
I know. I was
That's
just trying to be
funny.
like Shannon. I was gonna do one with my face facing the wall, but I was like, no, that's Shannon's gonna do that one
That's hilarious.
with her face in the corner
Is she really like
for being a bad
how?
girl. For being a bad girl.
Oh.
I can't steal
Okay,
her
get in the
idea.
corner, guys. They're at the spot in the corner.
Hi guys, I'm sorry I can't read the chat.
So, it's Uncle Paramount saying, "Hey y'all," and here we go again. So Sheila's saying hi, Shannon, and let's see here. Shannon's saying, "I love it." Everyone's just kind of like saying hi to each other. And Evangelist Michael said he missed us.
Oh yeah, I didn't know BB went live.
Yeah,
It's
BB did
good
go
to
live
know.
yesterday.
Good to know she's
Yeah.
still around.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough when you lose a channel with like 1,100 subscribers, man.
Yeah.
And then, to try to come back from that, I mean, she's got a lot on her second channel, over 100, you know. So I think that people will come back. It's just hard to do that all over again. It's a lot of work, you know.
It is.
And
It
so,
really
like,
is.
go ahead.
No, it really is. So you lose a channel and then you got to build it back up. It is very hard.
It is. It is. Because I know that, like, I don't know, most people that I've talked to that have over 1,000 subscribers, it took them like, 5 or 6 years, you know.
Hey,
And then,
congrats to you being back on number one.
yeah, it's tough, man.
You're off your
I would
strike.
like. Go ahead.
I said you got off your strike.
Yeah, I got off the strike. But this is what's crazy, right? Is I don't know if the punishments are exponentially like for the next one. Does it so it'll be more of a longer suspension? Like I don't know.
It will be.
It'll
Your first
yeah.
strike is a week. The second strike is 2 weeks. The third strike, you're out.
Oh yeah, that sucks, man. And I still have
That's
the
how I
warning
lost.
that's on there.
Yeah, that's how I lost 3 channels.
So this is my question: when my warning pops off of there, right? Will the strike go down to a warning?
No.
No, the strike will stay there.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks, dude. It's gonna be there
I
for like
know.
90 days.
Just
So we
make
got to be
sure.
careful. Hey, we'll do
Yeah.
something different today. We're just
Yeah.
gonna interview Faith. So tell us about, in a serious way, tell us about like how you started off, your introduction to the Bible and your introduction to like Christianity, and then like after that, like what the truth movement did for your faith.
Um, well, I mean, I was raised in a Christian household. Um,
So you just like from like being a kid, you never like never stopped. You were a Christian when you were a kid, and you just stayed that way your whole life.
Honestly, yeah.
That's amazing. I wish that I had that story. I
Honestly, yeah.
always, I
Yeah, I
always
was
like.
always the one kid, because there was seven of us. I was always the one going to mom when mom was reading her Bible, and I would be the only one sitting next to her, like, read it to me, mom.
I think that means that, like, I see, because I think that we have it in us. I think, like, even before we know better, like, we have that desire to know something bigger that can help us, something bigger that's there for us.
Um,
And
I think so too. I just always, I think from as long as I can remember, I always believed that there was a creator. And I always had faith in God. Like, I remember being like 5 praying to God and just believing that he answered me and heard me
yeah,
without
it's a
even knowing.
beautiful thing.
I just knew it somehow. I don't know. Maybe that's why my name is Faith. I don't know.
Yeah, well, this is what I was thinking, right? Like, I know that we are named by, like, our, our family or whoever named us or whatever, right? In like, the story of life, right?
Yeah.
But God created everything, the beginning from the end, right? And so he knew everything, right? You can't add information to God, right? I mean, like, he knows everything that's going to happen, right?
Hmm.
And if you, like, someone was, like, going through this, I wish I had a better example of this, but someone was going through, like, the patriarchs names in the Bible, right, all the way up to to the time that Jesus was born, and all the names, right, uh it spelled a message, about God coming, in the flesh, right, about Jesus coming. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting, because you never would know that unless really search that out. And
Yeah.
so my thought on that is that, God gives us our names, like, he thought of our names and thought of how we would get them. And,
Well, see,
like,
what's really crazy to me is, okay, so growing up, Dad always read the Bible to us before we prayed and went to bed. And some nights he would read the names, the genealogy, and that was the most boring
yeah.
ever. I hated it, the name.
Yeah.
But a couple years ago, somebody broke down the names, that there's Adam's genealogy, and then there's how do I say this? I'm not sure how to say it. Basically, there's 2 of each. There's how do I say it? Like, there's an Enoch and there's an Enoch. You know what I mean? Two different
Oh, you're saying there's two different.
two different seeds. Two different seeds. Yeah. And this person had a graph. They just had a picture of it. I think it was on Facebook. That was when I was actually on Facebook. I'm not really on there anymore. But I read it and I was like, "Whoa, these names actually freaking mean something. Maybe I should have
Yes,
paid
yes.
attention as a kid."
Yeah, that's what I was just saying, that, like,
Right?
it spells out a message.
Right. Yeah. And I
Spells
always
out a
found it
message.
so boring as a kid, but now
Hmm.
as an adult, I'm kind of like, "Oh, this actually means something."
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
But as a kid, you have a tiny attention span, so stuff like that doesn't catch you, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just interesting. Like, I mean, like,
Yeah.
every time I think that I'm convinced that the Bible is real, right? Someone will do, like, some kind of, like, this recently. I don't know if I've mentioned this on a couple shows ago. That this guy did this word search just on the word stick, and he's
Okay.
like, okay, we'll take the word stick and we'll just look it up. And
Mhm.
every time that one of the, like, Christ figures, right, like, Moses, or Adam or David, or one of these Christ type figures had uh, a stick. It was a staff. It was a
Yeah.
stave, right?
Yeah.
And if you write out stave in English, right, it's like it's save with a cross in it.
Mm.
And it was so interesting, right, that, like, wow, like,
Mm.
that's pretty amazing that and like, what is a stave? A stave is like what a shepherd uses to protect his
Right.
flocks, you know. And so it's just so amazing. Like every time you think that you've it's proven itself out, some little obscure thing like that could prove it too, you know. And you're like, well, how do these people that are like, you know, skeptical of the Bible, right? They're talking about, you know, things that they think are contradictions, right? They don't look at it like as like, man, look, this thing is alive. Like each verse is coming true as I apply it to my life, you know. How do you explain that? You
Yeah,
know? And it's
exactly.
so
Well, it is
amazing.
hard. It is hard to explain to the average person,
Yeah, you have to really want to be seeking God. You have
but
to want the
yeah,
truth, you know.
it's like in my life, it comes alive. Like, for example, like the other day when I was on your show, I think that was Monday with Tom,
Yeah.
and we were talking about being sad for those who don't have the eyes to see. And I told you, you text me, and I told you I'm about to get in the Word and get my day started. And I automatically just turned to Thessalonians, and I read that scripture about, you know, don't be don't feel sorrow for those who can't see. And I was like, whoa, like wait, we were just talking about this on Steven's show.
It's amazing.
And that to me just shows right there that the word is life. It's not dead.
Yeah, it
Yeah, that
is.
was amazing. It was like,
Well,
wow.
what did the truth do? Like, so when you started to like get into the truth community, right? Was it Flat Earth that got you in, or
Yeah, I was.
and did that like make your faith like increase by a lot? Like,
Absolutely, absolutely. And it was only because I was like, what's going on with this? Why is everyone talking about flat Earth? What is this? And it was only when someone mentioned that it's biblical. And I was like, well, let me see if it's biblical. And I looked into it a lot. And yeah, it's absolutely biblical. You know, scripture says it's the circle of the earth, and it says it's, you know, his footstool. And after looking into it and researching it, I was like, yeah, that it's definitely biblical that it's not moving. It's immovable.
it's not moving. That's what got me is that it's not moving.
It says that right in the word too. It's immovable.
Cannot move.
So if it can't
Many
move,
times.
how are we spinning on a freaking ball?
Yeah, and how are we flying around and spinning? Like just the thought of that now,
Yeah.
it sounds ridiculous, right? We're flying around on a water ball in a vacuum, no less, right? There's not even any like air out there. So how would water anyway? There's just no way. In so many different ways, it's impossible. You know?
If you really, really look into it, you'll realize how insane that sounds, how much of a lie it is.
Yeah.
And people just take it for, oh, okay. It is Photoshop, but it has to be.
Right.
You could take that sentence alone and be like, you guys are liars.
Yeah. I mean, it's just unbelievable, man. How would you even take a picture of the Earth, man, if it's flying around?
Right.
Hella
And
fact.
all those times like they were so called on the moon, why did they take pictures of the moon? Why didn't they take pictures of the Earth from the moon's view?
Exactly.
Like,
Because if you're on the moon, right?
we're just
Like
seeing
you'd be
great
saying,
sand here. Like, what?
right, you'd be like, "Wow, look at the Earth, man! This is
The Earth is
crazy."
really in the ball. We can prove it.
Right,
No,
right.
just
Why
take
would you
pictures
go
of
to
great sand.
the? Hey, why would you go to the moon to take pictures of the moon?
Right.
You could see the moon already.
And then all the lighting and shadows are so
Yeah,
messed up. Like that proves alone that it's staged. It's completely staged. The lighting and shadows are completely off if you're actually on the moon.
yeah. That's so crazy, man.
It's just
That's
so
like,
wrong. All of it's so
the,
wrong.
the whole thing is just
And now
insane
we're
to
going to
me.
Mars. Now we're so-called going to Mars. Yeah, we can't go back to the moon.
Well, check this out, right? There was this thing on Jaren's channel, right? And I don't really promote Jaren that much anymore, right? Because it just of what he says about our creator, but he had this these pictures came back from the Mars rover or something like that, right?
Mhm.
And this biologist in California saw like some mushrooms or something like that growing, and he was like, "Oh wow, it's life on Mars," you know. And then and then NASA like got rid of those pictures and said, "Oh yeah, it was just we don't have those pictures anymore. It was just some kind of dirt or whatever, like they made up some kind of dumb story, right?" And the guy was like, "No, I know what those look like. I'm a biologist. I know it." And he was like, like seriously, like upset over it, right?
Uh-huh.
And instead of coming to the conclusion, right, that oh, these pictures are probably from Earth, like
Yeah.
we've been fooled, right? He went to court and fought NASA in court, like to
Oh.
fight for those pictures so that he can prove that there was life in outer space. This poor guy, right? He spent his whole life learning science, right? Thinking that he had like there was this amazing discovery, and he's so brainwashed, right? That
Oh.
instead of just realizing that those pictures are not real,
Yeah.
right? I mean, I think NASA owes millions of dollars to a guy like that, you
Oh
know,
yeah, for
for
sure.
just destroying that man.
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, yeah, they're so criminal. It's,
It is criminal, man.
I mean,
Incredibly.
all of it. It's so like when you just sit back and think about all this stuff, they're all so deeply criminal and evil. It's like I don't have faith in any of this crap in this world at all.
Well, it's. I was reading Second Peter today, right? And I like to go through that stuff because those are books that it takes me a while to get back to them, and because I stay in the Gospels a lot, and I probably need to read Acts some more. But I was reading Second Peter today, or listening to it, and one thing that was interesting about how the people they learned the truth, right? They separated from. If you listen to it, it's crazy. I almost think like it's what we're going through right now, and I never would have heard it in this way, right? But it's like they found out the truth and separated from the world
Mhm.
only to want to go back and fight to get it back, right? Like a dog returning to its vomit, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
so, like kind of like how we are now, right? We now realize the truth about the world, and some
Mhm.
of us want to go back in and fight for it, as opposed to separating and waiting for God to come back, because that was our promise. That's our victory, you
Right.
know. But the urge does make you want to go back in, right? And say, "Wow, now that I know what's messed up, I want to go in and get it back." And
Go,
I
go.
like,
Yeah, you want to go fix it, but you can't.
right,
We need to realize that we can't. We just have to separate ourselves from the things of this world because they're just not good for us.
and that's exactly what this world tries to teach us, right? Is, oh, bird in the hand is better than two in the bush, And what you
Yeah,
have in front of you is, everything. YOLO, you only live once, right? Like they want to make you think this is it. And
exactly.
that and that
It,
taking a leap of faith is like, oh, that's ridiculous. Take a leap of faith. It's all about right now. We got to fix things now.
yeah, that's exactly it. Now, now, now. Everything has to be, quick. And it's like, no, gotta take your
Right.
time. Things, that's I don't know.
You need to separate, huh?
But yeah, in this world, there's an illusion. There's a huge illusion of right, left, blue or red, and all. It's like they're
Up or
giving you the
down.
opposite choice, but it's the same.
Mhm.
They're the same. There is no choice. It's the Matrix. You know,
Right, right. Yeah.
and even the
And
Bible.
well,
That's even biblical. That there is a Matrix, and I think the Bible attributes it to the womb or to being birthed.
ooh, explain that to me.
I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the book.
You mean like birth pains and like
Right. Like when a woman is, it's like it. How do I explain it? I think Casey from Enter the Stars explained it.
So like when you're like having birth pains, like the contractions get closer and closer together, and like things get like worse
Yeah,
and
but
worse and closer together.
the womb is like the Matrix. Like when the baby is in the womb, the baby is upside down. But
Okay.
when it's being birthed, when the woman is in labor and giving birth, the baby gets turned upright. And that's
That's pretty cool.
I'm trying to explain it good enough. I don't think I am. But that's basically the world. That you're in the world and you think you're standing upright, but really you're actually upside down because we're not supposed to be in the world.
That's a good way of saying it, actually.
It's as above, so below, which I know is very occultic. I'm not
It's
trying to use that.
it's inverted, basically.
But everything is inverted. Things are upside down and they're not the way they're supposed to be. And it happened when Adam and Eve sinned.
Yeah.
You will not surely die. Well, yeah, actually we will die. And it doesn't say you'll die right away. Like you're dead. But
Well, that's
eventually
what we're supposed.
all
That's what was supposed to happen, right? Is that they were supposed to die because of that, right? But that's when Jesus interceded, right, and took our punishment for us, right? Like he
right.
died for us, right? And so, um, it's kind of like a reprieve, right, for Adam and Eve to still live, right? They were after eating from that tree, they were supposed to die, but instead they got banished from the garden, but they still owed a death, right? Because God said you will die, right?
Right.
And
And
so the only
that's
way
why
to reconcile us is to either kill us on the second death or have somebody take our place.
we'll see, and that's why Cain and Abel both had to make a sacrifice. And Cain's sacrifice was he was a farmer, so he
Hmm.
gave vegetables and stuff like that. And Abel gave his finest lamb,
Hmm.
and God favored that over the vegetables. So that's, I don't know, because we had to give a sacrifice, and then when Jesus Christ came, we no longer had to give a sacrifice.
Yeah, yeah,
But
all
and
that.
that's important because the blood sacrifice was the most important. This is why these occultists do things like this, is because they understand that the blood sacrifice is the most important. However, after Jesus Christ came, we no longer had to do any type of sacrifices because Jesus was the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, Jesus saved us from all of that. And I like it because when Jesus came back, right? Um, it's not like he got rid of the law, right? He didn't get rid of the law. He just completed our contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we completed our punishment, fulfilled the law. The law required us to die, and he came and fulfilled that. And then on the cross,
Absolutely.
he even said it's finished. And that was the victory. That really was the ultimate climax in this story, right? Is that that was our victory over the devil, over the law, over everything that we brought into this world.
Mm-hmm.
you know and it's
Yeah.
like it's so crazy, right? Like that here's the answer right in front of our face, right? We have victory. We won. We don't have to be part of this world anymore. We can just live our lives right within 3 feet of us, right,
Yeah.
and take care of our families, and then die and leave or whatever, or he comes back, and we can just carry on and be happy. That's our hope. That's our
Yeah.
freedom, right? But
And the
like we
world
keep
doesn't want
wanting to
us.
dive back into that narrative.
Yeah, the world doesn't want us to see that and realize that when Jesus Christ said it is finished, that was the absolute truth. That was the
Yeah, it was
absolute
finished.
truth. It is finished. There is no longer any need for anything else because he did it. He defeated everything for us. That the world doesn't
Yeah.
want us to see that. That's why they throw all this other crap in our face.
It's
You're
almost
scared.
like,
Be afraid to
I mean,
die. Mask
I
on.
mean,
Get a bee. No,
it's
I'm not
almost
afraid of
like,
death.
well, it's almost like, and I don't want to say it in a different way, to make it sound. So this is just like, like my own spin of how I would think if I was brand new, right? Like it's
Mhm.
almost like God made us, right? We fell, and we let him down basically, and
Yeah.
he came down and punished himself. Like he took his own wrath upon himself to save us.
Yeah.
Like what, like that's more than what, I mean, if you look at your child, right, and you think about what would I do for them, right?
Mhm.
Would I die for them, and that's how he looks at us, right? He was willing to die for us,
Yeah.
and this is
And
like the most
the Bible,
beautiful
the Bible
connection,
even
right?
the Bible even says that that's one of the greatest things you can do for your brother or sister, is to lay down your life for them. That's the biggest
That's
sign of
right.
love. And I think someone that lays down their life for another gets rewarded.
Yeah.
But that's what he
Well,
did for us.
well, what I like about that, right, is that I remember when my oldest son was born, right? Now I was already married 3 years, right? And of course, I loved my mom, I loved my brother, right? I thought I knew what love was, right? Pretty much.
Mhm.
I was still a young guy. I was like early 20s, right? But when my son was born, a whole new I understanding of love, right? Like when you have that first kid, right? You're like, oh wow,
Yeah,
I would do, I would do anything for this kid, right? I would
it's a
die right
completely
now,
different. It's a completely different version too.
right, right. And to think that like that's the kind of love that God sees us, like
Right.
like even though we're like little tiny screw ups, he sees us as like even on our worst, dirtiest day, right? Like, oh, look how cute, I would
Yeah.
do anything for one of these little guys,
Yeah.
and it's just amazing, that
That's
that
a good way.
agape love, right?
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. That is how he sees us. Yeah,
We-
we're naughty, naughty, but he still loves us so much.
Yeah, can you imagine holding like a little tiny faith in your hand? It would be amazing, huh?
Oh man.
That's how he sees us. We're in his image,
Yeah.
and so like I know that like my oldest kid, right? He has this like he still has this magic, right? I love my kids both the same, of course, right? But like the
Mm.
first one has that magic because they taught you about love, where like the slightest bit of like affection and your whole day changes. You feel like you could fly.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing,
Yeah,
huh?
and it's not like you love one over the other. It's just your first one will always be
Yeah, there's something
different
about being first.
different because that was when you realize your eyes were open that this is someone that I love over my own life.
Yeah,
And you'll
yeah,
just always have that. And it's the same with every child. Like
yeah.
I got that feeling each time one of my children were born. I have 3. So
Sure,
each time they were born, I felt that like I would literally die for you. Like
absolutely.
absolutely, no doubt.
So that first one
And
somehow did they just teach you about love, and you're like,
yeah,
oh,
first time realizing it, your first child.
yeah.
I don't even care about my life over your life. I would die
And,
for you in a
and
heartbeat.
I think that like God plans it that way, right? Like, of course, I mean, I probably even talked to my youngest kid more than my oldest kid, right? I think it's just planned that way to be special like that because there is something special about being first. There is something special about, the blessing or the inheritance or whatever that, it's kind of like how royalty gets picked, right? The
Mhm.
oldest one or whatever. And
I was the
I,
firstborn.
yeah, there's like something to that. Of course, now biblically, right? A lot of times there would be some kind of snag where, like, it was Abel over Cain, right? Or it was Jacob over Esau, and
Mhm.
so a lot of times there was that anomaly, right? Which I wonder if that was planned too, because it seemed like that happened a lot too. Jacob over Ishmael, right? I mean,
Hmm.
Isaac over Ishmael, right? Like it was always the second one, right? when the first one was supposed to get the blessing, right? And
Interesting.
yeah, like with Isaac, he was the child of promise,
Right.
and with Jacob, it was he got Esau's birthright, and
Oh, never thought of that, Stephen.
right, right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You're
It was
giving me homework.
no, but it's amazing. Like when you read the Bible all the time, like you catch these little things, you're like, wow, like man, a lot of times, um, like a lot of these things are anomalies, right? And you're like, I
And
wonder if those are
you
for a reason, you know?
can read these books over and over, and new stuff will pop up. It's like,
Yeah.
whoa! I remember reading this 2 weeks ago, and I didn't read that part. I didn't notice that
Well,
part.
well, I'll tell you what I'm grateful for, Faith, is that with this, I know that like it's always better to read it, I guess, right? And I agree with that. But this, like when Audio Bible changed everything for me, you know, because I'm not that great of a reader, you know,
Mhm.
but I learn audio visually. And so being able to listen to it all the time, even when I don't have like the patience to read, I still get to have that information in, you know, get into my head, you know. And I mean, that changed my life because now when I listen to like Paul's letters, I just listen to them as if that's a sermon from a pastor, you know?
Yeah,
And it's just amazing, right? Look, I'm like, oh, when you read when you get the whole thing all at once, it's like it has a whole meaning and point behind everything, you know?
I agree. I think audio is a huge help for a lot of people. You're driving, or you're busy working. You can't actually sit down and read. For me, I'm a reader. I love reading books, so that's just me. But when I can't, I love having that in my ear. Like, just I don't know. It's just good to know. And then you get different messages. Like, oh wow, it says this in the Book of John. you
Yeah.
know. And then for me, if I do the audio, which I do often, listen, and it does sound like just like a sermon. Then if I get a minute, I'll sit down and I'll look it up for myself.
Yeah.
But I think it's very beneficial to have the audio Bible. I forget what it's called. What is it called?
Oh, the Good Hope one, or they
Yeah,
have the True Preachers.
yeah,
There's a couple of them online. I mean, shoot, I was listening to the Message Bible, man, and I feel bad now for recommending that to anybody because I was like, oh man, I really get this, you know, and then like I'm like, oh no, no, this is no good. This is no good.
yeah,
They changed so much, and I'm
yeah.
like, okay, only King James for me, right? And I think that there's like a certain blessing that comes with that, is because yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I get all the information. I get all the little nuances, right? And if you listen to that old English over and over and over again, it becomes actually easier than regular books because you don't have to worry about slang. You don't have to worry about, I mean, words all mean what they mean, you know?
Right,
And,
exactly.
because you know how, like, the devil, right, changes the language around the Bible, right? Like, so,
Hmm.
like you know how like nowadays with people and picking their gender and all that stuff, right? Which is I laugh when I hear that, but when they pick their gender, right, they can go by the pronouns of they and them, right?
Say them.
Right. And so when you're reading the Bible and it says he created they them, right? Now, if you were born in this generation, you think that, oh, okay, well, he created those people too. So three genders now, you
No.
know?
Yeah,
And
right.
it's crazy,
No,
right?
it simply says he created man and woman.
I know it. I know it. But you see how they pervert it? You see how they pervert that crap, you know? And
Absolutely.
it's heartbreaking, right? It's heartbreaking. That's why I say if we can just get used to that old English, right, from the KJV, it becomes way easier than all this crap that they're making up and coming up with now. And
Yeah, it's
I'm almost
interesting.
I'm almost afraid for the new generation, you know?
Um, yeah, I feel bad for them. But
Think about
hmm,
think about kids right now, right, that don't have the benefit of having like a Christian parent.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
you know, When you're
Say,
a kid and someone tells you good job or that's right, you feel good when your parents tell you that, right?
mhm,
And so like if you don't have like these Christian values, which seem narrow, right? It seems uninclusive, right? But when you're saying, "Oh yeah, I accept Billy for being, he wants to be a girl," there's parents that'll say, "Oh yeah, you're very progressive. Good job. That's nice."
yeah.
And that's you know what I mean? It's reestablishing those feelings, those thoughts, and it's heartbreaking, right?
I don't think there are many parents that agree with that, though.
I hope not.
I think the numbers are very skewed. I think it's mainly Hollywood and all that because I don't know any parent that would accept their boy dressing as a girl or calling himself a girl. And I
Yeah.
know a lot of parents.
Yeah, because you think about that, right? Like, I mean, look, at that age, right, I didn't even know whether or not I should crap my pants, right?
Right.
So how am I going to pick my gender?
Right. I
I'm
don't
like,
know.
should I poo in my pants or should I wait?
Yeah, I don't know any father that would accept his son dressing like a little girl. They're just not they would not have it.
That's crazy, man, to think about.
Even my son, he wanted we were getting winter clothes and he wanted pink mittens. And
Yeah,
my husband was like, "You are not getting pink mittens. You're a
yeah,
boy."
too bad.
And it was just a blanket statement. But a lot of dads I know are like that. Like, you're not wearing pink. You're a boy.
Yeah,
So I think it's very off. What they're saying out there in the world is very off from what actual people think.
I think so
Many
too.
people I do not think want to see their daughter dressed as a boy or act like a boy. You know what I mean? It's not natural.
Right. Well, I mean, that's one thing that we do know as kids, right? When we're young, right? I mean, I know I'm a boy, right? Like
Yeah.
that's one thing that I do know in life, right? Out of all the things to know, right? And then if you take that certainty away, right? Like, oh, don't know what I am then. Like, what
Well,
am
here,
I?
okay. Okay. So I was a tomboy growing up,
Yeah.
but I always had long hair, but I always dressed in like kind of like baggy clothes. Not boy
Hmm.
clothes, just baggy clothes. And I remember one time, um, one of the neighborhood kids was like, "Are you a boy or a girl?" And my automatic response is, "I'm a girl." So, and I was like, how old was I? Geez, I think I was 8. Like, you
Yeah.
just know, you know what you
Yeah.
are. No matter how
Right.
you dress, no matter
That's a
what you
good
look like,
point.
no matter if you're climbing freaking trees or climbing on top of garages and jumping off, you just automatically know what your freaking gender is.
And it would probably have upset you if he
And I
said that you
actually
look
looked
like a
at that
boy or something.
sideways. Like, I side-eyed them. Like, I'm a girl. Like, I thought in my head, like, what the frick? I'm a girl.
Yeah, what's your problem?
just because
Yeah,
I just because I'm climbing trees with you doesn't mean I'm a
yeah,
dude.
that's a cute story. Guess
I love
what time it is?
Dusty Trail.
It's time to hit the old dusty trail. I really appreciated today's show. It was very light and it was very fun, I think. It was a good way to start the Saturday morning. Thank you so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, you always put me in a good mood after the show, so thank you.
Well, hey, I mean, you guys do all the hard work, right? So I'm just really, really grateful for you guys. So thank you. And I'll say this, praise
I
Jesus
gotta
for his
change that
sacrifice.
picture. Sorry, I gotta
Whoops,
change
it's
that
okay. It's okay. Praise Jesus for his sacrifice and his grace. All glory to God because he deserves it. Please pray for the
picture.
children. And I will see you guys at 5 p.m.
Love you guys.